Welcome everyone. I am a biology teacher. Today I will describe about a amazing group of organisms which is known as Monera. So why it is amazing? Why I have told you it is amazing? See, it is amazing because of their varieties of the organisms. It is amazing because they are very much primitive. Maybe when the earth has formed, they are present at that time. We can find the histories of the life from Moneras. They have variety, they have various colors. They can take up different types of foods. They can survive in hottest place. They can survive in most saline place also. Where the survival of the life is very much difficult, we can see the Monera in that place. Whereas, these organisms are very much simple. These organisms have capabilities of sustaining life in hot springs. They have the capability of sustaining their life in very saline conditions. They have the capability of sustaining life
Monera.
in very dry
Monera
condition. They can
bacteria,
take up
which
food
most
from
abundant
a piece of
microorganisms.
wood.
Bacteria
They can take
live
up
in
food
extreme
from a
habitats
piece of
like hot springs,
rock,
deserts,
from a piece
snow,
of stone.
and deep oceans.
But
Prokaryotes
although they are very
are
much
bacteria,
simple,
which
they are the smallest
unicellular and
living
have no
organism we
distinct
can
nucleus.
say.
They have
They
a
are
naked
microscopic.
DNA.
Why
Structure
microscope?
is
We
simple,
cannot see
but
with our
behavior
naked
is
eyes.
complex. They show
We
the
need
most
a
extensive
microscope
metabolic diversity. Some
see
of the
that organism.
bacteria are autotrophic.
See
that is,
how much
they
this
prepare
amazing
their own
organism
food
we
material
cannot
from
see,
inorganic
but they
substances.
exist. They
Vast
exist
majority
here.
of bacteria
They exist
are heterotrophic.
everywhere.
That is, they do not synthesize their own food, but
They are
depend
very
on
much
other
amazing
organisms
organism.
or on dead organic matter for food.
We can say they are prokaryotic. Why prokaryotic? Because they are very much primitive and they do not have cell organelles like we have. They do not have mitochondria. They do not have Golgi apparatus. They do not have endoplasmic reticulum. But they have the capabilities to survive their life in the extreme conditions. Thus, they are amazing. They have chromosomes, but they do not have a nucleus, proper nucleus, because then there is no membrane bound organelles present in Monera. The bacteria comes in this group. Before the nucleus formation, these organisms have been formed. They can reproduce asexually, they can reproduce sexually by the formation of pillars. I will explain what is pillars in our upcoming classes. I will explain each and every part. So, we can say this is the oldest and most abundant organism. There are millions of millions. One information I will share with you that this is a world where full of microorganisms are there, starting from your fingers to toe. There are millions of microorganisms, but still we now only 1% of microorganisms has been tested, has been discovered, and still there are remaining much more microorganisms. Microorganisms helps us to sustain our life. There are life-saving microorganisms are there. Whereas there are pathogenic microorganisms are also there, which can take our life, like cholera is a disease. See how amazing it is. Now, if we group the Monera, we can group into two types, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. They are metabolically different Archaebacteria is that type of Monera which can sustain, which can survive in the exotic environment. What is exotic? Exotic means the extreme environment it can survive. The most extreme environment it can survive. We group that Archaebacteria into different types, like if that organism can survive in very saline condition, we told it halophiles. Sometimes we told is extremophiles. If the organism can survive extreme heat, can survive in extreme heat, we tell them thermophiles. So this type of organism, this group of organism, of microorganism, can survive in exotic environments, can survive in extreme conditions. That's why we can say it as extremophiles, because it can withstand the extreme environment. Why can we withstand the extreme environment? Because the membrane have some changes, have some composition which can withstand that extreme environment, extreme conditions. They have metabolism different from the eubacteria, which helps them to sustain their life in these exotic environments. So, we can say that in the formation of the earth, where the environment is very much extreme, where we cannot say a life can sustain there, we can say the Archaebacteria can sustain there. How amazing it is. So I have told in the starting of the video that we can get the history of the life from this group, from the Monera. That's why it is so much amazing. Now, eubacteria. This is known as true bacteria in everyday life, in day-to-day life. These bacteria have uses, and there are also some pathogenic or some harmful bacteria. Like uses, we can use this bacteria in curd formation, like lactic acid bacteria, whereas some bacteria gives us diseases also. Now, if we classify this eubacteria according to its sizes, we can say that there are 4 types of eubacteria. What are these 4 types? The types are Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum, Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum, and one more is Coccobacillus. Coccobacillus is the mixture of Coccus and Bacillus. Coccus means round shape, the round ball-like shape, whereas Bacillus is rod-like shape. Spirillum is spiral-shaped. One more I can remember, it is of comma shape, Vibrio. It is still as Vibrio. It is of comma shaped. And one more is Coccobacillus. So how much I have told you? Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum, Vibrio, and Coccobacillus. These are, we can morphologically differentiate the eubacteria into these types. See, some of the bacteria I have told you that it can withstand very hot extreme climate. These are called extremophile, whereas there are some bacteria we can resist in acidic condition also. And that bacteria are known as acidophile, which can withstand the temperature of 2 to 4 not temperature, pH of 2 to 4. See how in this acidic condition, if we touch that 2 to 4 pH, our finger will get corroded. It will burn up. In that condition also, this bacteria can survive easily. So this is why these bacteria are so much amazing. They can sustain the temperatures of hot spring. They can sustain the extreme acidic conditions. They can sustain the extreme salt conditions also. Now, eubacteria are, we can say it's a modern bacteria. In my knowledge, in my thinking, bacteria are very much modern than us, because it can survive, it can eat each and everything. See, if someone dies, if we bury them, after 10 years, after 1,000 years, we cannot find that body. Then where does this body will go? The bacteria will eat it up. The decomposers will decompose it, and it will make the nutrient available in the soil. It will make the soil fertile. See how it is helpful to the farmers also. How it helps to regain the fertility of the soil. It takes the nutrient from that dead body and it gives that nutrient into the soil. The decomposers are the group of bacteria which does these types of thing. But there are some harmful bacteria as well. I have told you that can cause various types of diseases. I will provide a chart giving the names of some bacteria and causing that diseases. I will provide a table. Now, the bacteria can survive in every conditions. It can survive within another organism also, and that organism where it makes its habitat, makes its survival place, is known as host organism on which it is surviving. Now bacteria has cell wall also, a cell membrane that surrounds the cell, but no membrane bound organelles such as nucleus, mitochondria. They do not have all these things, but some bacteria have a outer covering called a capsule. Some bacteria have flagella. Flagella means a tail-like thing which helps in the movement of that bacteria, which helps in the flow of the bacteria. Some bacteria have cilia outside their bodies, which helps in sexual contact, sexuous pilus, whereas some bacteria they helps in the anchoring in one place. See here in this picture, I have provided you the picture of some bacteria having flagella. One more thing, in this picture you can see there is a plasmid other than chromosome. What is this plasmid? This is known as extra chromosomal circular DNA. See, the structure is circular, closed circular DNA. This helps to transfer of gene from one bacteria to another bacteria. They have some antibiotic resistance gene. And this antibiotic resistant gene keeps them survive in the presence of an antibiotic environment. Having if there is some antibiotic over there and the bacteria is still surviving, you can say that there must be some antibiotic resistant gene in that bacteria, so they are surviving in these extreme conditions. They transfer the gene from one bacteria to another. See, the biotechnologists or microbiologists use this plasmid for manipulation of this gene. One of the recent research projects, microbiologists use this plasmid to produce petrol, which is very much demanding in these days. They use this plasmid manipulation for making single cell proteins. So the bacteria are very much useful. The plasmids are very much useful in our day-to-day life. Some of the Moneras are autotrophs, as because they have chlorophyll. Chlorophyll means they have that pigment which helps to photosynthesis. They can make their own glucose. They can make their own food. So we can call them autotrophs because they are making their own food. Whereas those Monera which do not have this chlorophyll, we can say them heterotrophs. They survive by consuming other organisms. Now, these autotrophs, either chemoautotrophs, they make their food from the chemicals present in the environment, and that autotrophs we call them chemoautotrophs. Whereas there are some autotrophs which make their food from photosynthesis, and we call them these autotrophs as photoautotrophs because they make their food from the light. Therefore, we call them photoautotrophs. They are making their food from the light, from sunlight. Like plants, they are making their food from the sunlight. And some of the Moneras are parasitic also because they live off a living host. They need a host for their survival. Like Leucothrix mucor is one of the parasitic organism that needs a host for its survival. Now, some Moneras are saprotrophs. Saprotrophs means those Monera which feeds on the dead living organism, or those Moneras which feed on the waste material for their decomposition are known as saprotrophs, or we can call it saprobes, or we can call it decomposers. Now, if we say how this organism develop or how organism reproduce, either it will reproduce by binary fission, by asexual mode of reproduction. Maximum they do asexual mode of reproduction, or prokaryotes have a single circular chromosome attached to the inside the plasma membrane. And after the asexual binary fission, they divide into two halves, into two cells, and raising multiple thousands of cells in the environment. Now, is every time Monera reproduce asexually? No, sometimes they reproduce sexually also by formation of the sex pillars. They have the pillars, they transfer the plasmids or the chromosomal DNA from one cell to another cell. They copy that DNA, copy that plasmid, and they transfer that plasmid from one cell to another cell. But most of the time they reproduce asexually, and this is why they are now in millions in a single unit place. So due to these characteristics, different variety of characteristics, colorful in nature, they are so much amazing. Really, Moneras are so much amazing organisms. Thank you. This is my overall description about this group of organism. If you have any query, feel free to ask me and I will try to give your answers. That's all for today's video. Thank you.